All right, it's Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024, at 6 p.m. I'm calling the Lakeville Board of Health meeting to order. Is anyone recording this meeting? I see no one, and LakeCAM is recording this meeting. First on the agenda is 28 Cross Street, continued from December 20th, meet with Megan Young to discuss a new stable permit.
I talked to Craig, the owner's son, who is also an attorney. I was correct, he has not been out and around much, but he did let me know that he had no problem with them doing that. Giving him a variance that close to his property.
Okay,
Awesome.
so I'm fine. That was my only concern on
Yeah,
Same here.
just to make sure.
yeah.
But I don't know if anybody else is here different to talk
Yeah,
to.
anyone else to speak to this? I see no one.
Has anything else changed since the last meeting? You're still looking?
Do you remember, I don't have the plan, do you know what the setback is that they're asking for that we gotta give?
9 feet, it's from 20 feet, the requirement is 20 and they're asking for 9.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve a variance on 28 Cross Street. Which house is it? Which side are we giving it to?
It's 26 that we're close to.
Okay, so that we're gonna give 28 Cross Street a variance on the side of 26 Cross Street from 20 feet to 9 feet,
And issue the stable permit for
and issue the stable permit
six animals?
for 6.
A second?
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
The only thing you'll need is just the fence inspected.
Yep.
Once it's installed, prior to issuing the stable permit.
Perfect. We can do that.
All right?
Awesome.
Thank you very
so
much.
much.
Have a good night.
All right, next on the agenda is 13 Main Street, continued from December 20th, meet with Zenith Consulting Engineers to discuss local variance requests.
Good evening, guys. For the record, Niles from Zenith. At the last meeting, as you were aware, there was some concern brought up about the design flow and why it was designed the way it was. I provided a letter. So basically, it's age qualified. It's not age restricted. So there has to be at least one person that has to be over 55 or 55 and older. But you can't have members of the household that are less than 55. And that being said, that being the case, we can't restrict it. So we had to design it at the 9,900 gallons a day, or the 110 per bedroom. So that's why we did what we did. So I put that in a letter explaining it, just kind of spelling out what is what, and if I was just here to see if you guys had any questions about
It's
it.
a poorly worded bylaw. I mean, from my perspective anyway. But
Yeah, I did some research, like I said I was going to, and whichever attorney represented the town on this was malpractice. So technically, this is age-qualified housing, but if you twist how it's written, you could be 55 and older, go rent an apartment over there, let your daughter and her kids move in and move out the next week, and that's it. At the time of occupancy, one person, 55 or older, and they don't even need to be on the lease, they just need to say they're living there. So that place, when they came to town meeting and sold this as age-qualified housing, nobody thought that was gonna be full of hundreds of units with a bunch of kids. And now all those other 40Bs that were proposing 40Bs, now that they figured out how to get around it, there's gonna be no 40Bs. They're all gonna be a ton of apartments, and they won't even count, which will make us need more 40Bs in the town. So I was not happy with what I found, nothing against you,
Oh,
but I think as a resident, but I stay in my lane when it comes to the septic system. But I'd really like to see, I don't know who was selectman at the time, but how this got put through. But this is really bad. That this can get twisted this bad to do this is just one of the biggest abuses I've seen in years of living here. But we're only here for the septic system, so because of that, there's not anything else I can really do, but I just want the residents all to know what's going on. When there's tons of kids running around over there and everybody thought, because we voted for age-qualified housing, we're not getting what we were sold at town meeting. And in my opinion. That's my personal opinion, not as a board member.
And this was back in 2005. This reg was brought to town floor. Again, I'm the same with Bob. I looked into it. I have the reg in front of me from 2005. It clearly states it's not housing for the elderly or any, it's just age restricted. So I agree with you, Niles, that we cannot say that this needs to be done at the 150 gallons per 2-bedroom, because it doesn't qualify.
Well, one thing I thought too is, I mean, where we have the new bylaw, you know, because of the potential of what could happen there, we could enforce the advanced treatment system.
Right, we could on that, but I mean, just, you know, I don't see the whole reason we implemented that, in my opinion, was to protect wells. And I think Niles presented it at the last meeting exactly why it wasn't needed there. We have no wells within 1,100 feet. You mapped where the water was flowing. You're not in the zone A, you're not near Long Pond, you're not, Assawamsett. The 2 parcels to the left and to the right of you are already taken, big parcels with very low flow. I just don't see the need for a treatment, just.
Yeah, I was just an option that was out there because of, you know, the potential of what could be in there and what flows could be in there and that.
I think down the road, they might be the lucky ones on this parcel, because I agree with you, down the road, now we're gonna have huge flow on this property, and the hospital property that's off the back they're probably gonna have to do treatment now. And they're close to the well on Rush Pond
That's the
Road,
thing,
so
that's in close proximity there.
but as far as this parcel, the first coming in front of us, I still don't see how, even though it's 9,900 gallons, 4 times the amount of nitrogen loading, or 3 times, I believe it was.
3 times, yeah.
I think it's apt for the variance that we made available.
And at the last meeting, Mr. Cullen had brought up a question about the well for the CVS property. I told you that I could try to reach out, so I did to the owner, and he had no clue as to what that well could be other than irrigation. He said that it's definitely not being used as for potable water for sure. But he says he has no recollection of it and what it would be for. It is shown on our plan that was submitted. You know, it is shown on there, but he says it's definitely serviced by town water. It's definitely not for portability, because that would have been a well that would have been in close proximity for sure.
Right.
But it's not, you know, being used for that. So I just wanted to put that on the record. I did reach out. He didn't have an exact answer, but he said it's definitely not being used as portable water.
Was there ever a prior building out there, like years ago before CVS? Like a small not gate shack, but.
You can see the pipe coming out of the well, it's at grade. So, whoever did it probably did it for landscaping purposes in a seasonal sense. Cause, you know, you wouldn't put the pipe that high if it was for
I
any
didn't
type
know
of
if it
dwelling.
was just something existing that was for the irrigation, but it was something that was existing prior that it just got lost in the shuffle.
It's a fairly new well.
Okay.
It's a well drilled, well cased, you know, well. It looks professionally done, and I would say within the last 15 years.
I agree.
Okay, and then, when we did come in to the meeting tonight, Ed did say this project at 13 Main Street does have site approval from planning, correct? So it is approved through
Yeah,
planning board?
they gave their decision, yeah.
And it has conservation approval as well.
Correct.
If we say no now, I think we're just being spiteful. I mean, it met all the criteria that it was supposed to meet, whether we like what they did or not. I used to get annoyed when people would not stay in their lanes for their particular boards and try to find some law to tweak and to stop somebody because they didn't like what another board did. I mean, the planning board approved it. The selectmen at the time approved this. I don't know how town council, I have no idea how town council let this go up on town floor written the way it is. But it did, and I guess the guy figured out the loophole around it to do this, and I think we gotta say yes, unless we're just personally just gonna try to make a statement that we'll just get sued and we'll lose anyway.
Right, and then they're just asking for the variance on the treatment, so
Yeah.
I mean, they could always just do a treatment, but again, I'm still in the same position, it meets.
No, but that's not, we said, that wasn't what we said that
Yeah,
rate was for.
it was just,
Correct. It was to protect wells and.
I was just throwing stuff, throwing stuff
It's
against the
gonna
wall,
affect-
see what might stick. I don't know. Suggest stuff, and I don't know.
It's definitely gonna affect future projects on that site.
Right.
But, if anybody here has anything to speak on this one?
Anyone else here to speak?
You can do this one.
I make a motion to approve the septic at 13 Main Street with the one waiver. Variance is being requested to allow the septic system on the property that has a design flow greater than 440 gallons per day per acre to be installed without the use of advanced treatment. IA system approved for denitrification by the board of, by DEP.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dennis.
Have a good night.
And 8 Virginia's, you'd asked for a continuance? And Jamie asked for
8
continuance
Virginia.
on 8
Oh,
Virginia?
yeah, yes, so Jamie couldn't be here anyway because he has COVID, but, he tried to reach out to the client, I guess the owner must be away. So Jamie said, if you could continue with one more meeting, whenever that may be, and then we will absolutely have an answer whether or not they plan on moving forward or not with this. But he said he couldn't get an answer in time for this meeting, so if you could just give us one more chance to talk to them.
What's the date of our
and then
next
we'll have an
meeting?
answer.
17.
17th.
And you should just bring up 8 Virginia Drive on the record, just because we didn't.
I was gonna do that. Yeah, next on the agenda is 8 Virginia Drive, continue from December 20th. Zenith Consulting Engineers to discuss upgrade approvals, and they have requested to continue it.
I'll make a motion, we continue it to January 17th.
Second?
Any more discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you guys, have a great night.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dennis.
See you now.
There it is.
All right. Next on the agenda is 8 Oak Street. Meet with Farland Corp. Incorporated to discuss requested local upgrade approvals.
Do you have the revised copies?
For the record, Stevie Cavallo of Farland Corp. I've got some revised plans,
These
which is
are no
added
good.
buoyancy calculations.
There's one, I think Derek has a revised one, but the other ones.
Those are for full size. I have reduced scale if you guys prefer that.
My 13?
17, a little bigger. I'm not sure if there's anybody in the audience.
The floor is yours.
Sure, thank you. So it's an existing single-family dwelling. We performed, 2 soil tests, one up here up front and one in the back. It's a very tight lot. We've got a bordered vegetative wetland to the back. Neighbors well here, neighbors well across the street. And actually, the existing well for this structure is inside the structure. Limited area for leaching outside of the 100-foot well. So what we are proposing here is a bottomless sand filter with an Arenco Trantex AX20 system. Bottomless sand filter is located up front. All the components are outside of 100 foot from any abutting well. septic tank and units are in the back of the home. Applicant is looking to extend the existing water service from Clark Shores Water Corporation from Evergreen Road to his property here. We're still going through that process. We're asking for a couple local upgrade approvals, setback to a property line for the tank and Advantex unit from the required 10 feet to 6 feet. Setback from the surface water supply. We're also asking for use of a sieve analysis, which is required in order to design the bottomless sand filter. And then the 12-inch separation from groundwater to the inlet and outlet pipes of the septic tank. And that's essentially the project, and be happy to answer any questions.
What was the distance to the surface water?
So we are at the closest 33 feet with the tank from the bordering vegetative wetland adjacent to the surface water supply.
Okay, so it's, I didn't know if it was more, alright.
Yeah.
I have a question, why are we putting the tanks out there in that lower groundwater closer to the wetlands, piping it all around the house? And it looks like you gotta rip off the entire deck just to replace that pipe back to the house.
So that deck is kind of, it's not really completed there yet.
Okay.
So ripping it up isn't an issue right now. The building plumbing, we don't know exactly where it goes. We just know, that the building plumbing comes out back here and that, based on the best available information, there's some sort of septic system back here. So that's why we just figured we'd collect the, solids as close to the structure as possible. And I don't think he can reroute the plumbing to the front.
Is there a crawl space? I mean, there's no basement.
It's a walkout basement, so it actually goes below the basement slab. But I believe he has plumbing in the basement. So getting that rerouted to the front is gonna be, you know.
Okay, so it's a full walkout basement?
Yeah. Yep, the basement
Move forward
slab
down
here
this
is
again.
62, and the grade back there is roughly 62.
Okay. And
So
a
it's
bathroom in
kind
the
of just
basement.
a step out.
So to come out the front, you'd have to put an ejector pump.
Right.
Okay. So that makes more sense, because it didn't make sense why.
Yeah, it would have been easier.
And you
Site
got
work,
more
construction
distance from
cost,
the
yep.
pond to the setback.
Absolutely.
Out the front.
Yeah, there's some plumbing below the basement slab.
Okay. And you're able to get around the right-hand side of the house on the property, get that tank in? Or
Yeah,
it's
we
so
were
tight,
able to actually drive, I
you get the tank
performed
truck
it,
around there.
yeah, performed the perk test over there.
That was one question. I guess the other question I had was on the elevations.
Mm-hmm.
They're just kind of vague. It gives us bottom of the filter media sand of
Yep.
6275, but it doesn't give us bottom of the stone. It just says 24 minimum, and it doesn't show us where bottom of the drain pipe is. It just gives 8 to 9 inches from top to bottom of stone, but it doesn't give an elevation, and it just says to be 4 foot minimum from the water table, but it doesn't say, just says minimum.
Right.
So,
So, you need a minimum of 2 feet of that, sand.
Yep.
And 4 feet of separation of groundwater. And the depth of removal is dependent on how much of the, A, B, and then, well, it would be essentially just the A and B material. So you're essentially taking away 49 inches of material and then putting your Title V sand, the C33, this bottomless sand filter sand, starting here at 62.75.
so you're actually putting 4 feet of filter sand under this?
Yep, it's required for 2 feet, but instead of using Title V sand to
You
bring
just
up the
use
grade,
all
you can
this.
use all of the C33 sand.
Okay. Well, this filter media sand isn't even C33 sand on these bottom sand, it's a different spec. That top sand is the C33, so that's C33 in that 4 feet, that top filter media is 8 to
That-
9 inches,
This top is just pea stone.
pea stone.
Yep.
So that
3/4 inch pea
24,
gravel.
okay, it's filter sand, refer to specs. Okay. So that filter sand is not C33. It's a very specific sand.
Yeah, it's gotta meet the,
It's
I may
very
have
hard
it
to
here, I
find.
may not. Pretty sure it says C33 requirement. We could provide you with that information. It might even say it somewhere.
I actually did one of these once and,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just did one of these, so that's why.
yeah, getting that sand, there's only like one friggin' place, yeah.
We tested 3 places before I found one the fastest.
Yeah.
It's very expensive,
Yeah,
that's why.
yeah, you wouldn't wanna
We
do
could-
4 feet of that.
I was under the impression it was the C33 sand, but if it's a completely different
It's a
requirement.
completely special.
I know it has a tight tolerance.
It comes in a bag, doesn't it? Like a,
It comes in a bag, but we found it in Balkan, Rhode Island.
okay.
It was like $80 a ton picked up, very, very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you wouldn't wanna do all 4 feet with it.
So that's why I was just looking for, just elevations, just so even the installer would know, he's not trying to do the math and figure out what you're looking for.
Well, we do have that bottom of that sand going down to 6275.
Right, but that's you only have the bottom and then you only have top of stone, everything else in between is missing. I
Okay.
said, if you do the math, you could.
We could provide additional information on this profile to show, elevation of removal. The elevation of the top of that sand, basically the bottom of that pea stone.
Right, yeah, because you got the removal grade
Mm-hmm.
over here on that test pit. Test pit 2 is out
Yeah,
back.
and, I mean, we tested slightly higher in elevation. Just for the design of this system, we actually can't test within the footprint of it.
Yeah, because you're up higher,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And then the only other thing I know we've been doing on all of them we've approved so far is we've been requiring, block, retaining wall around it, not the pressure treated.
Okay.
Because the pressure treated has a life expectancy of 10 to 15 years before
Yeah.
they rot away, and the system's definitely gonna outlive that.
Mm-hmm.
So I know on every one we've requested block.
Okay.
Everybody else is, and then also on the, pump chamber, it's not really a pump chamber, but,
It's a pump basin.
the pump basin, there's no buoyancy calcs on it, and it doesn't show concrete around it, so it doesn't float, because that's just a plastic PVC tube that
Mhm.
weighs probably 40 pounds. Even though it has that Bigfoot base on the bottom,
Okay.
that's not to hold it down. And this is totally under groundwater. When that back test pit, the groundwater's at 57,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, it's only,
59.4 is water table.
yeah, it's pretty shallow back
The
there.
inlet's, yeah, below 58, so that whole unit is submerged.
Okay.
I know Ed was concerned in how much concrete to put around it and to show. We have the buoyancy calc on the tank itself,
Mm-hmm.
H20 monolithic, it needs buoyancy there.
Yeah.
It's just that chamber,
Sure, no problem.
the wall, the grades, and why the tank's out back, that was all my questions.
Yeah,
Anything, Bob?
no,
Yeah, I didn't have anything really extra.
Ed,
You-
what's that?
You also mentioned, since you are going for the waiver for within 12 inches, normally you put it on the booties on
Yep.
the, is it spec'd out there?
If it's not, we'll add it.
Yeah.
what is it?
The plastic boots on the, inlet and outlet covers. I mean, inlet and outlet of the tanks.
It's actually totally submerged in the water, the water table's above top of tank. Those covers are usually made, yeah, they're gasketed in, they're calling for that rise up.
Uh-huh.
And then, on the well, it says to be abandoned. I know it's in the basement, so it's tough, but if they could try to fill it and decommission it, you know, rather than just abandoning it. You know, normally we require a full decommission by a licensed well driller. I mean, it's a lot tougher when it's in the house, in the basement of the house, but, something, you know.
And signed, you know, a letter stating they.
Yeah, and I can inspect it when I'm doing the inspection of the install.
Is it a point well or is it an actual dog well tile?
We tried to get in the house on the perk and we weren't able to get in, but, so we're really not sure, but we're assuming it's probably a shallow well. Groundwater's right there, and like I said, if it's in the basement, it's usually,
So did we write down the extras, decommission well?
I wrote down a bunch.
The rubber boots.
Rubber boots?
I got block wall, spectra sand, and how much of it's needed. Add grades to be clearer. Buoyancy for, calcs for the chamber. Rubber seals, and decommission the well.
Anyone else? You're good, Ed.
one more, so you have exactly 33 from the tank to the wetland. If you're off, if it's like 32.9, I mean, if it's 33.1, you would have to come back here.
Okay. We'll label that to give us a little extra for construction tolerance if we're gonna
Yeah, I
revise
think we
the
need to
plan.
read, we actually have to have them on the waiver too, correct, Ed? We don't have distances on any of his waivers, just his property line setback.
Yeah, you'll have to say the distance here.
5 feet.
So whether you say 33 or 34 or 35, but like I said, if you do say 33 and it's 33.1
You know,
or 32.9.
There's so much stuff. Maybe we should just get a new plan and not make them come to the next meeting, but I mean, we're changing half the stuff on the plan at this point. Why don't we just have you send in a new plan?
Sure.
And then you don't have to come to the meeting, and then we'll just vote on it. And then, when you send it in, Ed can just confirm all that stuff's on there, and then you won't have to drive here or nothing, but. Yeah, now we're adding those distances on and everything,
Yeah,
it's just,
we'll
Yeah, I mean, you can approve the waivers and then I'll approve everything else. But
but do we know exactly what they're all gonna be?
the waivers, yeah, I mean, it's,
I mean, he's gotta go through conservation, that's next week, he's still dealing with the Clark Shores water, so if everybody's more comfortable with
I think it'd be
reviewing
easy.
a revised
Yeah.
plan before approving.
This is,
If
this
you don't
is,
mind.
No, we don't
we're
mind.
holding you up.
Like I said, he's still got a lot of,
That way you can show the block wall, you can show
Right,
the
right.
elevation, you can show how much concrete you need around that.
Yep.
Make a note, put rubber booties, and just put the distances, 5 feet to property line.
yeah,
32 feet to,
yeah, we'll give a
Just take
a
that
little
and put it
construction
down.
tolerance.
and
Sounds good.
then we can just.
Yeah, that's easier for everybody.
yeah, and then you don't even, but like I said, you don't gotta come back and nothing.
Fair enough.
Just Ed'll call you, tell you he got it and everything's
Okay.
good. And we'll just take a 2-minute vote at our next meeting for
Fair
you.
enough.
All right,
Make a motion.
so we'll make a motion to continue this to our next meeting, which was
January 17th.
the 17th.
Second?
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Which is my wife's birthday, so I probably won't be
Oh,
here.
this was the meeting.
Huh?
It's this, it's that meeting.
Yeah, the 17th.
And that's,
I might not be here
you might not be back, yeah.
either. It's still iffy. I'll try to make it, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah, you're not up and around yet.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is review and approve meeting minutes for September 20th, 2023 and October 18th of 2023.
Separately, any first?
I am good with both.
I'm good with both, but I'll say September 20th first. All three of us were present. I have no.
I was good with them.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from September 20th, 2023, as typed.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
October 18th, meeting minutes.
Good.
I'm good with them. Max, so all three of us were present. Have no issues with them.
No, go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 18th, 2023, as typed.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, the agenda, discuss recent Board of Health agents pending items. Ed?
There are no pending items unless you have something.
Okay.
I have nothing.
I have nothing.
That it?
Anything from the audience?
We missed you
Good.
guys last time.
We got the thumbs up,
We
so.
were on the Polar Express.
Uh,
Thank you, Renata. It was awesome.
all right.
Jordan's?
What's that?
Jordan's?
No, out of Buzzards Bay.
Oh, okay.
Actual train ride.
Oh, really?
All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second it?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.